Good morning and welcome to Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is the show. It's a show where we answer your traffic and police questions. We do it every day, Monday to Friday, from 10 to 11, because we think that's the best time. And we've actually done some surveys, and the survey said 10 was better than 9. But we're actually discussing 11 instead of 10, because we went live at 11 on Tuesday. It was not intended. It just worked out that way. And we had almost 40,000 people through the live. It was possibly our best live ever. So I'll put it to you guys. Do you think 11 o'clock is a better time for us to stream? Is it better than 9 and 10? Well, obviously, our previous polls have said that 9 is not as good as 10. 10 has definitely won out. Like an overwhelming majority say 10. But we've never asked 11. So maybe I'll put up a video poll on TikTok for that as well. But if you're here, Chase says yes, 11 is better. Well, that's good to know. Okay, we'll have to play with that. And good morning, Michael, who's coming in from LinkedIn. In case you're not aware of what we're doing right now, we are streaming on multiple platforms. I've got a phone, that's you guys right there on TikTok. I've got an Instagram phone, and I've got Restream on a camera up there. And we're currently streaming to YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere, and multiple pages. If you're watching, if we're watching us, we're obviously on the platform that you're watching. But if you are wanting to interact with us, ask us questions, not every platform is supporting Q&A right now. Instagram is. You can add a question by way of Instagram Q&A. It's the question mark in the bubble, and you can see for the folks that are on Instagram, the bubble pops up, the question is shown for everyone to see, and Crystal says good morning. So good morning again, Crystal. Now, if you're on TikTok, they broke it like 3 months ago and haven't fixed it despite many questions and emails and stuff. So if you want to ask questions, you can use the chat. I have CJ helping me out in the office. Q is also in the Twitch, taking comments and questions and putting them in here so we can feed the machine and be able to see your questions. But if you're on YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, or Facebook, your questions made there will actually come into another feed. So we will see you. The goal is to see you and answer your questions. You can also use something called Volley. Volley is an amazing platform. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've got a window here on my Mac, and if you go to trafficcop.ca, that will forward you to our Volley space, and in that Volley space, you can ask questions. You can send me video, voice, or text, and we will answer your questions as well. You can actually ask us anytime because we get back to you whenever I see them. All right, Big Jeff Fresh, good morning. I see some autocorrect issues, but I figured you were going with morning and not moronic, but thank you for clarifying. Let's see. We've got a couple of things. I've got a question that we can start with that CJ put in. It says, hello, can you drive after midnight with a G2 under 19 years old? Yes, you can drive with a G2 when you're under 19. However, the number of passengers that you have in your vehicle in the first 6 months and the second 6 months does change. You have restrictions, and of course, there's an exemption for family members. So if you want more on that, let me know. We've got a question that. Automatic light, what is this? Do the automatic license plate readers, do they also indicate to the officer about no insurance? So I've not seen them in action. I don't know what information comes up, but I can tell you that when I run a plate and I check it, I can find out some information about insurance. At the end of the day, if I'm checking out if there's any other issues, I'm also going to verify insurance. But I don't know if that report's right now. I'm going to have to get all trained up when they become available everywhere. And every jurisdiction is going to be different. Some places might have that pop up right away. Depends if you're in Ontario or elsewhere. Depends on how they have it connected based on the police service and what they I guess, enable. So it's an interesting question. On a 4-lane with a stopped cruiser on the shoulder, do you need to slow down to 60 when passing or not? It's not a specific speed that you have to slow down. It's the slow down, move over rule, and the deal is that whether it's a police, fire, ambulance, or tow truck, if they're actively working on the shoulder or anywhere, you need to slow down to a safe speed and move over enough to give them room to work. If you don't, you can be charged. All right. But I don't think there's a speed of 60 that's specified, and I could be wrong, but I don't think so. Using a vape while being a minor, is it an actual crime, or is it just purchasing one underage? I'm not really up on the vape business. I think that smoking, purchasing for sure is an issue. or actually, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I was going to say it is. The deal is when you're using it inside of a motor vehicle with someone who's under the age of 16, that's an offense. In terms of purchasing it or having it or consuming it, I don't know. And now I want to, so we'll have to find out. If anyone knows, please shout out into one of the multiple places you can put comments and let us know. If you know, let us know. Do you think people should get DUIs on electric scooters? Yes, and they do, because an electric scooter under the criminal code is still a motor vehicle. So you can be charged for impaired operation, whether it be drugs or alcohol, if you're operating an e-bike or any electric vehicle that you're operating. That anything other than muscular power qualifies as a motor vehicle under the criminal code. I see an SXXD put that question about vape devices on Instagram too. I'm going to have to come back to that later. I'll leave it unread there so I can possibly look it up when Sergeant Campbell is going to join us in a little while, but is not yet here. And when he arrives, he will join, and we will rejoice. And I think I need to plug this in if he's coming in. Maybe plug that in right there. All right, cool. Otherwise, his headphones wouldn't work, and I would have to think about it later. Oh, Caitlin has a question. Let us see what Caitlin has to say. And it was a text. And Caitlin says, if I received a red light camera ticket, I had turned right on a red where it was allowed, and there's also no car in the photo, what can I do? So if you went through the red light and did not come to a complete stop prior to making your right turn, that's why you got that red light ticket, because you must come to a complete stop and you can only make the right turn on red after having completed your stop and ensuring that it was safe to continue. So you might be eligible and justifiably charged for that. So if you did come to a complete stop, you might want to take that to court and challenge it, but that will be up to you to prove that. But again, if you're making a right turn on a red, you are required to stop first. Indy Wood says, good morning, watching from YouTube. Good morning, Indy. Peter Gallagher says, hello, my traffic friend. Hello, Peter. We have a question. Oh, here's a good question. My ticket lawyer, I've never heard of a lawyer being specifically referred to as a ticket lawyer before, but I'll go with it. Missed my court date and now my license is suspended. How can I appeal to this? Well, you can apply to have your case reopened. You can go and make an appointment. I don't know if this is Zoom capable or if you have to go in person. You can make an appointment to have a reopening, and that's done with a justice of the peace. If they approve, you would then be able to have a date to appeal. And if they didn't show up for you, that's not cool. That's, regardless of what you did to get the ticket or didn't do, depending if you know what you're saying, you're still entitled to have your representation attend. And if they don't, that's not good. Maybe we'll also call, you say ticket lawyer, I'm assuming they might be a paralegal. You might want to call their company or call the association, because that's not cool when they do that. You might want to put a complaint in. Okay. What we got here? Ooh. Okay, so I've got a bunch of questions here. I got a speeding ticket in Alberta on an Ontario license. Will I get demerits? You might. Alberta, I believe, sends and shares information, and it would be the charge, and then Ontario would add the demerits, from what I understand. Give it a little while and check. You'll find out soon enough. Can you fight a ticket from a red light camera? You can certainly fight it. I don't know how successful you will be, because they have photographic evidence of what they allege you to have done, which I assume is running a red light. If you've crossed that line, the stop bar, after it turned even a millisecond of red, you're eligible for that ticket. And can we legally turn left on the second or third lane? So if you have multiple turn lanes, then yes, you can turn left. Turn left on the second or third lane. I thought you were talking about right turn at a exit. So if you have multiple left turn lanes, like you're getting off the highway and there's 2 left turn lanes, then yes, you can turn left from those, but you must turn into the corresponding lane. If you're talking about making a right turn on red, you can do that on a right turn, multiple right turn lanes as well, but you must go into the appropriate lane. And of course, you have to ensure that you can complete that movement in safety. But I'm trying to think of when you would turn left on the second or third lane. Like if it's not a designated turning lane, then no, you can't. So if you're approaching an intersection, there's a left turn lane and then 2 other lanes that go straight, and you turn left there, that's not legal. Okay. Can you get a ticket for playing loud music? You most definitely can get a ticket for playing loud music. It's called unnecessary noise. That's from a HTA motor vehicle perspective. If you're playing loud music in your home, that's going to be a bylaw offense, separate separate and completely unrelated to the Highway Traffic Act, but still an offense, depending on a number of things. Let's see here. Is a G1 licensed driver can drive with 2 passengers, which is both holder of full G license. Okay. If you have a G, so the requirement is that the person who's supervising you is in the front passenger seat beside you, and the only person who is in the front seat with you is that person. So if you're in a pickup truck and it's only one row, that's the only other person that can be in the vehicle during that time. If you have somebody in the back seat, you can have passengers when you're a G1 in the back. There's no restriction that I'm aware of for passengers as a G1. People drive with other people in the car. Now G2 is different during certain times, but G1 there's no issue. But not in the front seat. Okay, I think I got that covered. I got a speeding. No, we talked about that already. Is it illegal to drive with bare feet? Not illegal. Not suggested, but not illegal. Oh, J.K. Willies wants to know what my favorite excuse someone gave you for speeding or another traffic violation. The most common one has got to be that they have to go to the bathroom, and I can relate. It's not fun, but is it my favorite? It has been comical sometimes, but I don't know if it's my favorite. The deal is that there's no excuse. So any excuse is just that. I'm sure I've heard some really creative ones in the past, but I can't think of any. And I keep saying that I'm going to save these for later, but I've yet to put my mind to going into the deep recesses of my memory, trying to remember what excuses were. I've heard some good ones told as a joke. Maybe those will be shareable one day, but not today. In any case, thank you for asking the question. If something pops into my head, I may just have to share that impromptu like. Okay. Should bicycles be allowed to lane split between curb and long line of stopped cars? I don't think that anyone, well, first of all, motorcycles or motor vehicles can't lane split, and I don't think that bicycles should be allowed to either, although because lane splitting is where you ride or drive between other vehicles. It's not safe. Does it happen all the time? Sure it does. I don't know if I have to look up, because careless driving, if it was a motorcycle, it would likely be careless driving. In any case, do I think they should be allowed? I don't think so. I don't think it's safe. Okay. Why is TPS ticketing cyclists more than drivers in Hyde Park? Well, for the person who just made that statement, I just happened to catch it. Who is this? Brandon. Well, Brandon, you're incorrect. TPS is not ticketing cyclists more than drivers in Hyde Park, because we released numbers last week, and this was all in relation to a media release that went out. The numbers are a whopping 16 tickets have been issued since January 2021 for cyclists in and around the park, not just inside the park, but all tickets to cyclists in and around the park. In the same geographical area in and around the park, 1,215 tickets were issued to motorists. So the suggestion that we ticket more cyclists is inaccurate. Okay, what else we got here? Okay. In a roundabout, does the car already in have the right of way from cars entering? Yes, that's precisely how a roundabout works. When you're in it, the people who want to enter must yield to you. One thing that really helps and is a requirement is that when you want to exit it, you signal. You signal your intentions so that people can plan. Otherwise, it just makes a mess. And sadly, my experience with roundabouts is that nobody knows how to use them. And although they are technically safer, based on studies where people do know how to drive, people here don't know enough about roundabouts, or maybe they never found out that they were supposed to do things. They weren't always popular, so that they're new for some people, and not everybody reads the HTA. So what can you do? Can Peel Regional Police Officer pull someone over on the 410, or does it need to be OPP? Police officers are police officers. We're sworn in the province of Ontario. We have the authority to act as police officers anywhere in the province. We don't generally do enforcement outside of our general area, but you know what? The 401, the 410, I don't even know what the 410 is, but I've been on it, but I can't visualize it. We can pull you over. We have authority. If we're really far outside of our jurisdiction, we'll probably have a local police officer lay a charge. That would prevent you from having to, like for me in Toronto, if I lay a charge, my ticket will send you back to a Toronto courthouse. And if we were doing something in Hamilton, that would be like a long drive for you. So we wouldn't do that. We'd have a Hamilton officer issue the ticket. We'd provide evidence and then make it happen. But it's an excellent question. And you have my answer. Is it? No, we talked about that. Can we legally turn? No, we talked about that. Can you get a fine if you have a back license plate but not a front one? Yeah, you need to. You've been issued 2 plates. If you're an Ontario registered vehicle, you must display 2 plates. Otherwise, it's $110 for not displaying both your plates. Front plate's very important. I know it doesn't go with the cool factor that many people want on their vehicle, but nevertheless, it is important. And what does it do? Well, it allows police to have twice as many opportunities to identify your vehicle. Well, why is that important, Sean? I'm glad you asked. The truth is that we are looking for motor vehicles, and we have automatic plate readers that are in place and more coming. Twice as many opportunities to identify a vehicle. What if it was involved in a kidnapping, a crime, it's stolen, whatever the case may be, we want to be able to identify it quickly. Making someone go to the back, not good. Ash says, hello, Officer Sean. Hey, Ash, how's it going? He's coming in from LinkedIn. Oh, and by the way, it's $110. How low can you legally be? Lowering motor vehicles is always a fun topic. Apparently, it's an inch and a half below the standard ride height, is what I was told once upon a time. But there are other regulations, like obviously, when you lower a vehicle, if it's not done properly, you run into all sorts of issues, like body rub, when the tire meets the body because you've lowered it too much, or the suspension. Excuse me. Isn't functioning because of it, or it bottoms out inside of other areas, frame, contact, whatever the case may be. So it can't make contact even when the suspension is compressed. Additionally, there are headlight maximums and minimums for raising and lowering a vehicle outlined in the light truck and passenger vehicle guideline, which is what the HTA references for standards. Those are the things that they have to meet in order for it to be safe. You modify those and they're no longer safe, we pull your plates. Someone's saying something on a police radio. What do we got here? Travis. What is Travis doing? Travis is going to be muted because he's making silly comments. Okay. So, new blue plates are bad. Still have them. How do you deal with them? They need to be replaced. I don't know what's going to happen with those. Long term, they really do need to be replaced. They're horrible. But I don't know what the deal is happening. What is the question? Why is Sean to the left? Chase, what do you mean? I don't even know. Was I too far? Was I too far one way to the other? I'm trying to center myself on multiple cameras here. This is not easy. All right, what do we got here? Danforth Road to Danforth Avenue meet. Can I make a right on red from both lanes? I can't visualize that intersection, so I can't answer you without looking. I will see what I can do about looking at that later, though. Neon says 1.5 inches lower than stock ride height, 3 inches higher than stick height, 2 inches from the ground. That is from Neon, who's a mechanic, and talking about lowering. So thank you very much. And there's additional stuff in the guide that I was talking about. So thank you. Neon has come in and helped us out with a lot of great information. And if you're watching and don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and I go onto social media asking, I don't ask much, but I answer traffic and police questions Monday to Friday from 10 to 11, and we might experiment with 11 to 12, so we have to talk about this. This is serious stuff. Maybe we'll do a little poll here. A quick poll. There we go, quick poll. If you think that we should be going at 10 o'clock, smiley face. If you think we should be going at 11 o'clock, crying face. I don't know why crying face would be. It's just the latter. It's the second. There's a new feature that works on my other phone, but not this phone, that says you can actually type in a name. So far, it looks like majority of folks are saying 10 o'clock over 11 o'clock. Only 6 votes for 11 o'clock. We'll see how that ends up. Give it a few minutes. Okay. Boom. Is it possible cop pull you over and say you will get your ticket in the mail rather than give you on the spot? I don't know what jurisdiction that would be the case for. Generally speaking, we issue them in person. It is possible to serve someone in other ways, but I don't know why we would do that. And there are additionally some places that are discussing going into some kind of electronic, like here's a business card with a receipt number, you can get your ticket yourself. I don't know. Is it possible? I'm sure it's possible. But is that something we do? No. So we will see what happens in the future. New technology. Abrar wants to know, can you switch lanes between intersections? A lane change in the middle of an intersection is not safe. It's not illegal, but it's not safe. It's not advisable. It's not a good idea, but it's not something that you can be charged for in and itself. It is something that a lot of these rules, talk about lane changes in intersections, accelerating quickly from a stop. Drivers anticipate you're going to do something based on what normal people do. When you do something that is not characteristic of normal driving, you are creating an unnecessary increase in risk. So if you change lanes inside of an intersection, and there's no good reason for it, you've taken an unnecessary risk for no reason. That's why it's unnecessary. If you have to do it to avoid a collision, you have to do it, but you might cause another collision, so you have to think about that. You're still responsible for the movements of your motor vehicle, period. Do you need to signal when entering and exiting a roundabout? Entering, no. Exiting, yes. You need to. Entering, it's the road ends there. You're just going into the roundabout. There's nowhere else for you to go. Once you are going around and around and around and around, if you don't signal, you don't signify or signal anyone out. It's called a signal because you're signaling. You don't notify anybody of your intention to leave, and they can't plan as to whether or not they're going to yield, so they have to wait for you. But very often you'll just turn off, and they didn't have to wait. It would have been much more efficient had you signaled, but you are responsible to signal your intention to change lanes or leave the roadway, and at that point you are leaving. What happens if I get caught driving with my G1 alone? Well, let's say you get caught because we just happened to pull you over, whether it be because you're speeding or we're just checking to see the status of your license, which is one of the reasons. The deal is you can charge for drive G1 unaccompanied, which means you would be charged, and it's a $110 fine. On conviction, you would receive a 30-day suspension on your first conviction, a 90-day on your second, and on the third conviction, you would be kicked out of the graduated licensing program, which is good. You deserve to be kicked out because you're breaking the rules. Can't follow the rules when you just got licensed. We're not expecting you to follow the rules afterwards. But there's more. But wait, there's more. If there's no collision, what would happen next? So the person who lent you their vehicle, knowing you had a G1 and you were in contravention of the condition of your license, we charge them under the HTA. Let's say they say, well, I didn't actually give them permission. He just took the keys. Well, then you're eligible for a ticket called, not a ticket, but a criminal charge for take vehicle without consent because you stole the vehicle, essentially. Although it's more complicated or less involved than actually stealing from someone you don't know. You stole from somebody you do know. Now, what else? You're not actually insured. You're not covered under the insurance. That requires the person to be sitting next to you. So if you're involved in a collision, your vehicle's not being repaired, which means mom and dad's vehicle, if that's the situation, you're taking a parent's vehicle, you just wreck their source of income. If they have to drive to get to work, they're not going to be happy. So that's a thing. I have a question. What's the penalty for passing a school bus with the SOS lights and stop sign out? SOS, I've never heard them called the SOS lights. I think it's $4.95. But let me confirm by searching the Book of Knowledge. And it's a specific Book of Knowledge. It's the one called the Highway Traffic Act. School bus. And I have school buses. Was I right? Come on, where's the big ticket? I thought there was a big ticket. $490. Yes. Points, 6 points. 6 demerit points and $490. A well-earned ticket. And if you get that, you deserve it because you're putting children at risk. They are our most vulnerable road users. The children are our future. It's a song, Whitney Houston. Come on, yeah. It's a real deal. What do we got here? Okay. Can you talk about what's allowed and not allowed with tinted windows in vehicles? Tinted windows. You can have we start from the front? We'll start from the front. Windshields, no tint. Now, if your vehicle was manufactured January 1st, 2017 or earlier, before January 1st, 2017, so a 2016 vehicle, you can have a 3-inch tint strip or sun strip or brow across the top of the vehicle, the first 3 inches of the windshield. That's it. No more than 30% light blockage on that tint, but that's only for those older vehicles. Newer vehicles can have no tint on the front windshield. Zilch, none. For the vehicle's windows directly left and right of the driver, you can have no more than 30% light blockage. It cannot be reflective. And what else can I tell you? You still can't prevent us from seeing inside. So if you put tint in that's legal for amount of light getting through, but it's reflective or blocks our ability to see in, well, that's going to be obscure interior of motor vehicle with color or reflective coating, which it's illegal. It's $110 for that. But if your windows are too dark, windshield, any tint on the windshield, proper, like below the 3 inches for an older vehicle or a new vehicle anywhere, your vehicle's unsafe, and you can lose your license plates, and that means you don't get to drive away. I've seen people pull their windshield tint and side window tint right off at the side of the road to avoid having to lose their plates and then going to get re-safetied and have to reapply for their plates. Don't tint your windows illegally. It's unsafe. Why? Well, tinting reduces the amount of light that comes through. The amount of light that comes through directly is related to how well you see, because you see your eyes work on light. It's actually sciencey stuff. Yeah, you have less light, you see less good. And also you prevent people from seeing in to be able to make that nonverbal communication so that it can be safe when they're crossing and interacting with you as a driver. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, and the windows directly behind, I should say, not directly behind, but the rear passenger, so people in the back seat and all the way to the rear. That can be as dark as you want. The only caveat is you have to have at least one functioning mirror view to the rear. That's what you got to have. At least one mirror view to the rear. So if you block the one because it's too dark or you have stuff packed up in your car and you can't see out the back, you must have at least one side mirror. That provides a clear view to the rear. Okay. Can we move around? What is this? Can we move around with just one number plate or just the back like Montreal? No. If you are an Ontario registered vehicle, you must display two plates, front and back. The front one must be on the front of the vehicle in a conspicuous place, easily visible. It has to be legible. Cannot be in the front windshield. Cannot be behind your grill. It has to be visible. Yes. What is this? So if I have my windows down for music loud, can I get a ticket for that? Depends on how loud we're talking. If you're listening to your music at a reasonable rate, and I know reasonable isn't a specific decibel rating, but if I'm on the sidewalk and my chest is pounding from the bass in your vehicle, that's unnecessary. The fact that I can hear your stereo isn't a problem, but if it's interrupting life in the wild, it's a problem. There's no reason to be doing that. Even if your windows are closed and it's doing that, you're rattling every bolt and thing attached to your vehicle. It's too loud. And I used to say that if your mom, as long as she doesn't like cars, because car enthusiasts tend to have a higher threshold of what's okay. So if your mom, who doesn't love cars, thinks it's too loud, it's probably too loud. A lay person, a normal person, a not invested in your stereo person. Can a regional police officer pull you over on the 400 series highways, or does it have to be OPP? We had that question earlier as well. Any police officer in the province of Ontario can stop you anywhere in Ontario. They have the authority. It's not cut off on jurisdictional boundaries like Dukes of Hazzard, where was a Roscoe Pico train when he crosses the state line and shucks. No, we don't do that. We continue the stop. What do we got here? I got to watch the Dukes of Hazzard now. I haven't watched that. I have no idea what Roscoe actually sounds like anymore. License plate and windshield illegal. Yes, we covered that a second ago. It's illegal to put your front license plate in your windshield behind it. You can't even put a plastic license plate cover on it. You certainly can't put it behind glass. Not only is it illegal because it doesn't meet the requirements as stated in the Ontario regulations, which is the area that dictates all this stuff. You also can't obscure it. It's also what do you call it? A potential, what is the word I'm looking for? Projectile within your vehicle in the event that you get involved in a collision. Dangerous. It's like a big rectagonal ninja star. We talked about tinted windows already. Oh, is there any reason why they brought in a law for not allowing loud music while driving? Well, it's not a law specific to loud music while driving. It's creating unnecessary noise, and it's quite wide open. Sounding device, signaling device. So your horn, a siren, screeching your tires is covered on that. Loud music would be covered on that because you're creating the noise from your vehicle. Your exhaust system, your engine, anything, any unnecessary noise. It's not designed specifically for stereos. However, it does cover it. What is this? And as in terms of motivation, it's because the community doesn't want to hear your mess. Like, you like it. It's you. You're the only person who wants to hear it. Everybody else wants to work in their office. Babies want to sleep and nap in the daytime. People who are night shift workers, they all want to live and enjoy the peace of the community. And when you're disrupting it with whatever you enjoy, or to choose not to maintain, like in the case of a defective exhaust system, then you shouldn't be able to negatively impact the community. That's why it's enforceable. What do we got here? Are motorcycles allowed to move to the front of the intersection on a red? That's called lane filtering. It's not specifically legal or illegal, so it depends on how it's interpreted. It could be careless driving. It could be, whatever the officer who is evaluating based on observations sees you're doing. If you're doing it quickly, maybe it's careless driving. Maybe if you're doing it slowly, it's not. It depends. It's not safe. It's not a good idea. But it's not specifically illegal, even though you might find yourself charged with something. What do we got here? Neon is talking about the decibel rating for cars and motorcycles at idle when it comes to mechanical fitness. When you are talking about being an illegal exhaust system, he wanted you to know that 74 decibels at idle for motor vehicles and for cars and trucks, and 92 decibels for idle for motorcycles. But if you talk about unnecessary noise, if you're revving a stock and perfectly legal vehicle and you're creating noise, it's still unnecessary and you can still be charged. So behavior has a lot to go with that, not just a decibel rating. Also, if you're in the city of Toronto and you are riding a motorcycle, you must be able to, you can be stopped and evaluated to see if your vehicle creates more than 92 decibels at stop. And the charge is like $500, not the simple 110 of the sound charge. It's a bylaw specific to protecting the community. Can you talk about we talked about that? Is it illegal for a cop off duty to get out of his car and scare someone who isn't driving proper? Is it illegal? No, we're police officers all the time. Is it something we normally do? It would be pretty egregious behavior if somebody motivated me to get out of my car and interact with you. But I'm a police officer 24/7, and I have, in situations, gone up and spoken to drivers. For instance, one is where a parent or a person driving had a child who was not secured in their car seat. And I went and stopped them and had a discussion with them. I was very curious why they wanted to put that child in such danger. We resolved the issue. The seatbelt was corrected, and they went along their way. I wasn't in a position to stop and charge them at the time, but I did correct the problem. But could I have called a car to come and give them a ticket? Yeah. If I had a ticket book, could I have charged them? Yeah. We're police officers 24/7. Can you get a ticket for having things hanging from your rearview mirror or having a dash cam? If you have something in the way of your vision, blocking you from seeing through your windshield, that's obscuring the driver's vision. That's a ticket. Obstructing, not obscuring. Is it obscuring or obstructing? One of the two. One of those words is the word. In any case, you can't do it. Anywhere that the windshield wipes, the wipers wipe, that is the path that you're expected to be able to see through. And if you can't see through it because of dash cam or a cell phone mount or fuzzy dice or there's lots of things, you can't do it. Nope. I used to be called the CEO of Noakes. I said no to everything. Do you support the use of body cams? Absolutely. And I think that 99% of police officers will tell you the same thing, because there are so many times that we have allegations made against us when we have done nothing wrong. These third party, these independent witnesses called cameras, they protect us. So we want to be protected. Not to say that people are always lying about us, but sometimes people say things and do things, and we just want to have the best evidence possible. That is it, an independent witness. It doesn't matter about memory. It doesn't matter. It's press play and go, and then the person who said they didn't do anything wrong when they were charged for assaulting a police officer, well, then they see the assault right there. It's great. I would put cameras everywhere, all the time, 24/7. I also think we should have cameras on every highway to catch everyone who's speeding, because that happens too much. Way too much speeding. Okay. Is it illegal? Is it legal to ticket you for not wearing a seatbelt at the end of your driveway? No, you can't be ticketed on your private property if you're not on the road. Now, if you're on the edge of the roadway, which is the boulevard, technically that's part of the highway. It's part of the roadway. It's not your property. So if you're past your sidewalk and that's for the boulevard, that is actually the roadway, and you might be okay to be charged there. But generally speaking, if you're not on the road operating your motor vehicle, there's nothing to charge you with. Depends on whose property is the property we're referring to. Ethan says, "No, speed cameras are way too much, in my opinion." You know what? The Two Cops, One Donut also wants me to come onto his podcast. I'm sorry, I just haven't had time, but we will have to get you onto your show. So we're talking about speed cameras. When we have people who are doing 20 and 30 kilometers over the speed limit as a normal operation of a motor vehicle, that means that and that's the average driver who's speeding. That just shows you there's no respect for the safety laws. And I think speed cameras need to come in, even if it's temporary, to change some behaviors. Or we should be a lot more stringent on pulling people over. And maybe 5 over, maybe 0 tolerance. Maybe everyone gets pulled over. But, there's only so many police officers. We can't stop everybody. And that's why so many people get away with it. So what do you do? Well, if you want to keep communities safe and speed limits are important, then you should enforce them. And electronically is the only way that I know of to get everybody. Okay. Greetings and salutations from Akela Draconis. Long time no see, like since yesterday. And the 410 goes through. I figured that 410 was that highway over there. I don't go there very often. I'm a Toronto kid. What do we got here? Chase says, you also have to signal as you're going left in the roundabout, then do you? No, you do have to signal as you're going left in the roundabout, then no. Where's the ministry site? Why would you have to signal left inside of a roundabout? I'll have to look at that because my understanding and interpretation of the HTA does not have you signaling to go straight, and as the road curves, you don't signal curves in the road. Like when I go through a winding road, I don't signal as the road changes direction. It's the road. It's only when I'm changing from the road. So the ministry might actually have to correct themselves because that sounds wrong. But if you got a link, Chase, please send it to me on Volley. Okay, question from Neon. Oh, a question about police body cams. Are they done by SD card or sent automatically to the police department? Body cams are sealed units. It's not removable SD cards. They go into a secure system. It's all done so that no tampering can be made. But I don't know the details as to what language or file formats. I think they're all like secure codecs. I do not have one. I'm an office guy. It would be really weird if I had a body cam to record this. Yeah. Is it a violation when a car behind you at a stop sign goes ahead of you if they're turning right? Is it a violation when a car behind you at a stop sign goes ahead of you if they're turning? You mean like they went out of order? Well, if they're behind you or ahead of you. No, the question is if they're behind you and they go ahead. But how do they go behind you and ahead of you at the same time? I don't understand your question. But I am curious to understand what you mean. So please rephrase. All right, what do we got here? We talked about that. I got caught doing 90 and a 65, and he let me go. Why? I don't know, because I would not have let you go, but I would have charged you. So somebody gave you used officer discretion, and for whatever reason gave you a break, gave you a warning. That's on them, and it's entirely up to the officer. As a traffic officer, I choose to charge people who speed. Another officer might say, well, maybe this person didn't have a ticket, so they don't deserve a ticket. I can tell you that statistically, people who have been involved in fatal collisions tend to have a history of speeding, and not only speeding, reduced tickets. So tickets that were knocked down from, 20 down to 15, so they didn't get any tickets. Those people continue to offend, and then sometimes they kill people. So I'm an advocate for charging people for the appropriate speed and having their licenses taken away from them when they continue to have that behavior. Because I'm a cop who cares about people getting hurt on the road. Are motorcycles allowed to move to the front? We talked about that. Is it legal to ticket you for not wearing a seatbelt at the end of the driveway? We covered that. Okay. Is it illegal for anyone who is not insured in the vehicle to drive with my permission? So, vehicles in Ontario are insured, not drivers. If you live, if it's your household vehicle, then your insurance company might stipulate that you must be insured to drive. But it's not a requirement of law. That's a policy condition from your insurance company, period. So if you want to lend your car to somebody who's not on your policy and your insurance policy allows for that, the vehicle's insured. The issue that might come up is if they find out that somebody, I don't know, maybe your policy says nobody under 19 or nobody under 25 or nobody named Bob, whatever the stipulation is. And if you violate that, then they might turn around and say that we're not covering you. They'll cover the liability for the other people because the vehicle's insured, but they may choose not to insure your vehicle and replace it. And that would not be good for you. Did I cover? I don't think I did. How is it possible? Did I really not? Did I talk about Vision Zero enforcement team? I may have just completely steamrolled that whole topic, getting into the meat of it, the meat of the questions and the answers. Let me just say that my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service, and I go live on social media answering traffic and police questions every day that I'm in the office. Generally from 10 to 11, but we talked about 9 to 10. We talked about 11 to 12. We've done different things. We're trying to figure out what's best. What do you like the most? We did a poll earlier, and the majority said 10 was better. Interesting. 11 was not the popular vote. But then again, it's 10 o'clock and you're here. Maybe if we went on 11, the people who tuned in at 11 would think differently. Interesting. Being that it's the 18th, and we actually have Vision Zero enforcement team out every day. What is the Vision Zero enforcement team? Well, Vision Zero enforcement team is a dedicated group of enforcement officers. They don't do anything else. They just go and change driver behavior one ticket at a time, looking for the big four driver behaviors. Those are the behaviors that lead to serious injury and death on our road. They are speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. All of those things are known to cause serious injury and death on our roadways. Of course, we want to protect everyone on the road, so we go after drivers who choose to make those decisions and intentionally make it more dangerous. Now, people will say, well, it's not intentional. They're not going out to hurt somebody. If you know that doing something is dangerous and you still choose to do it, you're choosing to make the roads more dangerous. You can disagree, but you'd be wrong. Okay, so where are they today? We tell you where we are. And we tell you because we want you to know. We want to know, the communities need to know that we're out there. And today, officers are in 13 Division and 42 Division. That's not the only place we're giving tickets. We'll charge you for breaking the law anywhere. But there is an increased number of people in these neighborhoods. And neighborhoods, because numbers don't mean anything. The neighborhoods of Yorkdale, Glen Park, Briar Hill, Wychwood, Oakwood Vaughan, Malvern, Agincourt, Milliken, Rouge, Scarborough in general, that's where they are today. And tomorrow they'll be somewhere else. If you want to know where they are every morning, you can check out our Twitter feed at Traffic Services. That's where we announce where they are going to be. We usually start the show off by talking about that, but I don't know. I think I'm pretty sure I didn't say this. Does not sound, I don't think I read that today. In any case. Well, let's get back to your questions, because this, after all, is Ask a Traffic Cop, where we answer your traffic and police questions for a full hour, Monday to Friday. Sometimes we do an hour and a half. Sometimes we go long. And on Tuesday, we did that. We did an hour and a half in a parking lot at an event and had 39,900 people come through the live. Record-breaking. Also, I should mention this. If you're watching and you like what you see, not this pretty face, but the content, please like and share and subscribe and follow and all that jazz, because it does help us. Not so much because we don't get any payment for doing it. I mean, I'm paid to be here, but I don't get paid by YouTube and TikTok and all that jazz too, as I throw my radio around here, to be here. But it does help show that what we're doing is being received well. We just want to know and get feedback that this is something you want to see. And we've been consistently growing. You can see behind me that we just legit went over 592,000 followers on TikTok. That's a live counter, so we keep watching it, and it's always interesting. It's personal goals, not goals for any other reason. We just like to see that we're growing. All right, Indy Woods sent a smiley face. I smile back. Can motorcycles pass through small parks? Slow riding, 500cc or over. No sign indicating motorized vehicles are really? No, you cannot drive through a park. The no motorcycles is usually for dirt bikes and things like that. But no, you can't drive through a park. There are bylaws also, motorcycles and even e-bikes, anything, bicycles, 20-kilometer-an-hour speed limit in the park. But that's if there's a roadway. You can't drive through the grass. No. Okay. What is this? Other than the actual HTA book, would you recommend any book for furthering your knowledge in the HTA? Peter Gallagher wants to know. There's a book that was written by the famous Sergeant. Why is his name escaping me right now? Oh, come on. He's on Instagram. He's on my TikTok. He's everywhere, and I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, he has a very in-depth book on the HTA, helping to understand what is his name. Oh well, I have to do a TikTok about him or something. In any case, there are books that put it into plain language. There's the pocket version of the HTA, which is by no means pocket edition. It's enormous, but reading the HTA online is onerous. So the book versions are the way to go. What's his name? I'm Googling. Toronto Police. This is how I Google. Toronto Police, Sergeant, HTA, writer. Come on. It's going to really bug me. Somebody tell me. Okay. We'll come back to this. He's got a good name too, I used to go, when I was an auxiliary officer, I used to go to his event, his multi-jurisdictional events, and he's really bugging me. Okay. I don't want to dwell. I'm going to move on. I'll come back later. Let's see here. Okay. Can police give tickets in parking lots, i.e. speedings and stop signs? No, HTA is not applicable for most charges on private property. So, when it comes to speeding or stop signs, those are HTA offenses that are specific to on the highway, on the road. If you're talking about stunt driving, however, as of September 12th, 2021, the HTA, was amended to include private property. So if you were doing burnouts, that's stunt driving on private property. TPS confirms that traffic enforcement has been declining for a few years. Why is that? I don't know. I don't know if it's because we've been busy, if it's because we got so many other calls for service, and we have dedicated officers who do enforcement, but not everybody everywhere has time. They're going call to call for 911 emergency calls. I don't know the specifics, but there's also different behaviors on the road. And people we're doing a lot more with a lot less. I think that I can say without hesitation, the chief has said we need more officers. We're trying to hire. And by the way, we're hiring. So if you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, check out www.tps.ca/careers. There you can get all the information about becoming a member, and not only police officers, but parking enforcement officers, special constables, tons and tons of opportunities. So if you're interested, check it out. Can you have unopened wine, beer in front seat or back seat, or does it have to be in the trunk? Unopened, it can be anywhere in the vehicle. And that actually includes sealed marijuana that's sold legally through a dispensary. If it's sealed, it can be anywhere in the vehicle. Once it's opened, it has to be out of reach of the driver. The trunk is always best. What is this? Can a civilian person have a ghost decal on the side of a car not saying something like police? You can have decals on your vehicle. You can't say police on your vehicle, but there's nothing saying you can't have something that says like hello. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can have stickers on your car. I don't know what you mean by ghost decal. Do you mean like same color on color reflective? Nothing preventing you from doing that either. What is this? Jack West. Aha! I got it. See, Jack West, like a movie star name. Peter Gallagher, the book that's being written by Jack West is, I believe, an expanded explainer of the HTA, and that might be what you want to check out. And it's like $100, so it's not a light read. Maybe go to the library and review it. We got here, Sarge. I just spent like 10 minutes trying to remember Jack West, Sergeant Jack West.
Jack West,
because Traffic Guru. He wrote.
Sorry.
It's okay. He wrote a version. Oh, here we can plug those in, or take the other ones. There, these ones here. I plugged them in. I got them ready for you. We're just getting you all. You got a chair. You got a place to sit.
Sorry about that, Sean.
That's okay. You're gonna stand. You're gonna sit. What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Look at this. I go away for a little while and nothing's set up here.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. It's weird. Well, welcome back. You made it for the last 10 minutes.
Yes, busy day.
Yeah, there's always something going on here. For the folks who think we just do nothing but sit on TikTok, there's a lot going on here. We are a busy joint. What were we talking about? We've been talking about lots of stuff. Jack, well, here's a question. I'll come back to it. I just thought you might find this humorous. Can motorcycles pass through small parks, slow riding, 500cc or over? No sign indicating that no motorized vehicles are prohibited. Thus, can I shortcut through a park?
If there's a sign,
No sign.
absolutely. If there's no sign, no, you cannot. It's not your property.
It's not. You cannot drive a motor vehicle through a park.
No,
you can't drive a
absolutely.
motor vehicle through someone's lawn either.
You know what? And there may not even be a sign for that either, but it is certainly frowned upon, probably unlawful.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Just because no one said you can't doesn't mean you can. And there should be some common sense here.
What about gas stations and parking lot cutting off the red light?
So I've talked about this before. I've seen signs that say, private property only for customers. And I think you can be trespassed. But I don't think there's a specific, and I may be wrong, but is there a specific law saying you can't? Because if I was driving towards the pump and I changed my mind and I drove off.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is certain obligations you have to do, especially in the city of Toronto. You have to stop before you cross the
Yes.
sidewalk. And you know what? If you don't do that, it is unlawful. Yeah. And most people that are trying to beat a red light are doing so with, to be faster. And a lot of people don't realize that you have to slow down, be safe when you're doing it. That includes stopping before you reach the crosswalk or the sidewalk.
I think that's brilliant because it does. If you're doing it unsafely, then obviously there's an opportunity to lay charges there.
Absolutely.
I like that. I like tickets, issuing them, not getting them.
You know what? I don't like giving tickets, but I like making things safer.
That's the angle. I appreciate giving tickets for the reason that I'm making a positive change.
Exactly.
Can you have photocopies of ownership and insurance in the car instead of the originals? For your ownership, yes, insurance must be an original or an electronic version if issued by your insurance provider.
What about a picture of my piece of paper?
Pictures don't count.
No,
they don't count.
You're correct.
But the big thing is, for the longest time, electronic copies weren't a thing. It became a thing most recently. There's a chair on the other side. I see the chair.
Yeah, I'm not going that far.
Okay, it's too far. The cable is long, but maybe not that long. Can you get pulled over and your license is in the trunk? Can you exit the vehicle to get it? So letting us know that that's where it is, and certainly you can, if it's safe to do so, then we can allow you to do that.
You know what? There's a lot of circumstances where it is unsafe to have more. It's unsafe for the officer to be out on the side of the road, let alone letting somebody else get out on the side of the road to go into a compartment that's closed. We don't know what's in there, first of all. Plus, we also don't want you to step into traffic and get hurt. Have a discussion with the officer, let them know. Provide the information that is required. And it may be an option for the officer, depending on the circumstances, for that to happen.
Here's a question that came in through Volley, and it came up before and I forgot to ask. The question was about the location of the license plate, not being at the rear of the vehicle. Is that a lawful place to mount a license plate?
It is within view. It is viewed from the rear. There is a light there. I'm looking at the picture with you.
Yeah.
There is a light there, and the vehicle is designed specifically for the purpose of towing cars. So you want to be able to see that license plate when the vehicle is in operation, because the towed vehicle behind them is not an actual vehicle, or may not be an actual legally registered vehicle on the road. Now, if you look at something like 18-wheelers...
That's what we're talking about. We're just showing everybody else while you're talking.
Yeah. If you look at 18-wheelers, they're towing trailers that are properly licensed. And as such, we would be able to identify that vehicle. Their license plates may be covered by that vehicle, like the vehicle that is following, being towed. In a tow truck, not so much.
I also, if it was on the other side of the glass, it would be illegal. But because it's mounted on the outside, I can see the perspective of it being designed to be there, that it's legitimate.
So a tow truck is carrying a load.
Yeah.
Just because that load is a motor vehicle, it is a load. If any part of your load covers over your license plate, then that itself is unlawful. So now that is mounted in a manner so that it is viewable by everybody while it is carrying that load.
I like it. That works for me. What is this? the question is, do they do an internal investigation if body camera is accidentally turned off? I don't know how the body camera, I've not been trained on body camera. So my understanding is they're turned on. There's certain conditions when you can turn them off, and if it's not on or off at the right time, I'm sure that could be called into question.
Yeah, absolutely. As supervisors, we're actually mandated, directed. We have to do regular reviews, random reviews of officers' in-car cameras and body cameras. If for some reason it got turned off and there's not a justifiable reason for it, absolutely, the officer would be brought in question as to why.
Good to know. Why aren't more people taught the zipper method when merging into lanes? I think there's a lot of confusion about driving in general. I think a lot of people learn from people who don't necessarily know. I don't think that everyone takes professional driving instruction, which is very good, very valuable, improves your abilities. And zipper merging is something that you're going to be taught by someone who knows how to do it. So if you're dealing with broken telephone or someone who's not a professional teacher, you may miss out on that benefit. And zipper merging is really more efficient.
Not only is it efficient, but it is safer because
Yes.
everybody's moving at the exact same speed. There's no speed differential. Sean, I just came back from overseas. I was in Britain. I was there for 10 days. I was driving over there. Driving over there is quite different, but I did notice that the drivers over there have a little bit better ability than I see drivers over here, and including merging traffic on what they call a dual carriageway. It is absolutely imperative that they get up to speed, and it seems like everybody does.
It is harder to be licensed there. And I've had a number of people comment about the fact that they've moved there from Canada and they couldn't meet the requirements to be licensed there and chose not to, because there's graduation, there's a certain number of hours, there's a whole bunch of conditions. But as a result, the drivers there tend to be much better.
Yeah, no, I was very, very impressed. Some of their secondary roads, their speed limit is much, much higher than ours. And nobody travels at that speed because it's not safe to do so. They drive to their abilities, and they drive to the conditions of the road. And it seems to work. Yes, they have crashes, but it seems to work. Funny thing, though, Sean, I went over with the Ontario driver's license.
Yeah.
And I've driven there before, and I'm fairly good at it. People going over as visitors can come in from whatever country that the reciprocal agreement allows. Canada's one of them. And drive over there. No tests, no qualifications, nothing. And it is quite different. It's scary over there.
Interesting.
When you're not used to it, so.
I drove the Autobahn. That was an experience in itself.
I'm sure it is.
Granted, talk about people always say, what about the Autobahn? Why is speeding bad? It's obviously not bad, but you can't compare the two. You can't compare what goes on there to here. But you're right. And I drove in Australia as well, wrong side of the road. Oh, you were just saying you were in Britain. So yeah, the opposite side of the road is quite an adjustment.
That not only that, but controls are different as well. Over there, I drove a manual car, and
with your left hand.
Shifting with the left hand is a little awkward.
Just a little. I did the same. Question about, are motorcycles allowed to use HOV lanes? HOV lanes being on the 400 series highways as of 2017. Yes, a solo occupant, or can you call it a solo rider on a motorcycle, can use HOV lanes. That's an awesome thing as of 2017. And in Toronto, HOV lanes, it'll be signed. So if the sign has the motorcycle, you're good to go.
Yeah, two different laws, two different road jurisdictions, two different allowable vehicles on those. Some are bus only.
Yes.
Some are bicycle only. Some are, high occupancy vehicle only. Some are a combination of all of them.
Well, we call them HOV, but they're not really HOV lanes on city streets.
It depends on city-owned roads like the Don Valley Parkway. You are absolutely correct. It is an HOV because only buses can use it. That's an extremely high occupancy.
Yes, it is. We got here. Oh, quick question. If you don't have a license or an ID on you, how can police identify you?
Well, you can't. That's why you need it.
Well, if you have a license, some investigation might result in being able to figure out that you are who you say you are. But ultimately, this is why we want people to bring and carry their driver's license. Not only is it a requirement under law when you're a driver to be able to surrender it, this is why. It makes life a lot easier, and you can identify yourself and have little to no doubt as to who you say you are. And if you don't identify, or if you refuse or cannot, you could be arrested.
Absolutely. We
have here, in an intersection, A police officer was directing traffic. Cars were crawling. One car bumps another, leaves zero damage. The police officer does not charge anyone. Was anyone at fault for anything? It's a fantastic question from Indy Woods, and I know we have an amazing answer because I'm pretty sure you're the one who taught me this many years ago.
You're talking to me.
Yeah, I'm talking to you.
I'm going to tell you that nobody can run into anybody or anything while they're out there on the road. So is there a charge? Well, yeah, quite possibly. Do you require a collision report to be submitted to the ministry? Maybe not if there's no damage. But no matter what, crawling, speeding, whatever, you should not be running into anything, anywhere, at any time.
So you could be charged for your actions, but has a collision occurred is a different story. So is someone responsible for something? If there was no damage and no injury and there was no loss, and the officer may have chosen not to lay charges because that may have been the appropriate way to deal with it.
And you know what? People come up to unusual circumstances, unusual situations, like a police officer directing traffic. Some are very, very good at directing traffic. Some, it takes them a little while to get in the rhythm of it. So when the flow is disrupted and people are not sure what's going on, you got to keep your wits about you. You got to be aware of everything coming from every direction and drive appropriately.
Is a question about how long should we wait to drive after having one drink? That's a very loaded question because it depends. Loaded. That's funny. It depends on everyone's going to deal with absorbing alcohol differently, getting rid of alcohol differently. So there's no specific amount of time, but you can be inebriated or impaired after one drink. So I can't give you a specific number, but you're best to drink to have no alcohol in your system, and that could be more than the 1 hour that people very often say they need.
You know what, Sean? There are two different charges and two different set of circumstances for a charge to be laid. One of them is straight impaired. If any amount of alcohol has impaired any part of your ability to operate a motor vehicle, you can be charged for it. The other one is over 80. And right now at 50, we can suspend your driver's license.
And somebody with consuming the same amount of alcohol might be at different levels. We were at the Honda Indy. We had a roadside screening device that was rigged up to be a demo model, so it would actually give a number. We had some people who had taken a drink recently and they had mouth alcohol and they blew really high numbers, like 220. Same person 15 minutes later came by and was like 192. We had other people who blew zero, and they said, I had a drink like an hour ago. It depends. And because of it depends, we can't give you a prediction. You might find yourself. So more time is better, less time is bad.
And you know what, John? Zero is
best. Yes.
Absolutely.
If someone's brake lights were not working and I hit them from behind, not hard, am I at fault? Well, you're at fault for when you hit someone, generally speaking. Would you be completely exonerated for hitting them because their lights don't work? No, you'd still have some level of fault. But there's a contributing, explainable that might, share the fault. Because usually you're 100% fault when you rear end somebody. If their brake lights were found not to have been working, then you might divide that. When it comes to insurance, now in terms of charges, the police may find to lay charges against you and them. But when it comes to the insurance, they make their own determination.
You know what, Sean? Doing a collision report with that, I would take all the evidence and I would mark all that evidence down so the insurance company has it. I would be laying charges for the brake lights if I found them not to be operating. But I've heard that excuse before. And I found that miraculously they start working as soon as the police arrive. So as far as brake lights, if you've tinted your brake lights, that's a big no-no in my world, my HDA world, because it reduces the effectiveness even if they're working, and that certainly would be part of my evidence gathering and submission to the insurance company.
Yeah. So certainly it doesn't exonerate you from all responsibility. I can visually observe something slowing down in front of me. I can even see trees coming up as I accelerate towards them. So I should be able to make that judgment of speed changes and not rely solely on lights. Look at stick shift manual transmission vehicles. Many manual drivers don't apply their brakes, but they slow down. And if you run into them when they're slowing down by gearing down and you hit them, you're still responsible.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Kayla was giving some information to Indy while we were talking about other things about the fact that no injuries, no damage means not reportable. Hey, you gave a great answer. Cool.
Not reportable is only one part of it, though.
Yes.
Did a collision occur? Yes.
What would happen if I get pulled over without a muffler? Just straight pipe all the way down. Well, if your vehicle is not covered under being grandfathered by being predating those muffler laws, you'd be charged for not having no muffler. You'd also likely be charged for unnecessary noise and possibly anything else.
Well, you know what? If you're talking a straight pipe all the way through with no emission control or catalytic converter, charges under the Environmental Protection Act, and would be pulling it off the road.
Absolutely. Your license plates, say goodbye to them. Is rubbernecking illegal? Oh, I wish you. Well, actually, maybe. Sure. Rubbernecking. You're blocking, or what's it called?
Careless.
Impeding traffic. Careless.
Absolutely. If you're looking to the left and driving forward, you're not paying attention.
But I can't tell you how frustrating. Well, I probably can because you likely share the same opinion as does everybody else. Rubberneckers, just because they had to see what was going on at that traffic stop or that collision or that fire or whatever it is that they're staring at, disrupt traffic for miles and kilometers.
Yep, absolutely. And pose a greater risk.
Absolutely. They create collisions. What is this? We got lots of questions and discussions here. Cop was a witness, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're still talking. We're having all sorts of deep conversation about that collision that wasn't a collision that was minor. And Indy wants to know, it says, there was no dash cam, but traffic lights have cameras, but those cameras are live view only when they have them. They're not recorded, so you wouldn't be able to get it. Yeah. I see here, but just because someone makes contact doesn't mean that and it's not reportable. I know we're beating this up a lot, but if there was no damage, what report would be beneficial? I mean, you could go to a CRC and make a report, but it wouldn't benefit you. There's no damage. Obviously, when there's loss because of damage or injury, then documenting it makes sense. But if you drive in Italy, and I have, you make contact with cars all the time. Like literally, constantly, every stoplight, boop, 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 and they honk and they honk and they wave. That was an experience driving in Italy. Okay, Big Jeff Fresh says, stop sign question: if you're at a stop sign and someone behind you comes up on your right side and makes their right turn before you get to move, is that legal? So it's multiple lanes then.
If there are multiple lanes, then yes. If there is has to be a paved shoulder, and the vehicle in front has come to a complete stop and signals its intention to turn, then yes, you can pass on the right. That's the only exception for passing on the right of the roadway, though.
Yeah, right of roadways is a strange situation because not every community, every area has one that makes sense. In Toronto, we don't see that very often because there's a curb generally on the right, as opposed to a shoulder. But there's a specific law for passing on the right.
There is, and there's an exception to it. So passing on the right is not lawful unless you meet the criteria of the exception.
Yes. What do we have here? We talked about this. Can someone answer this quick? If you don't have a license or ID on you and you get pulled over, how do you identify? We kind of covered this earlier. A license is the required way. If you don't have your license with you, there are other ways to identify you, but you're still eligible for a ticket at that point. But if we cannot identify you, then you could be arrested.
Yeah, you have to provide a driver's license. There's an offense if you don't do it. But ultimately, you have to provide the information that will identify you and you as the driver. And if that information that you're providing to the officer has to be believable and understandable. So if they have question about what you're providing them, they can't verify what you're providing them. The onus is on you to do it and to provide it. The onus is not on us to call your mom or call your friend or, I've had lots of suggestions of what I should do to, figure out who somebody is. The onus is on you to do that, so.
Jeff just reminds me that I had a question that I saved for someone who knows the answer because I don't. Maybe you do.
Oh.
Is using a vape device as a minor an actual crime, or is purchasing it the crime? They've heard of this, and there's a lot of confusion behind it, and I don't know the answer. Because we're traffic cops. I don't know the answer because
You know what?
I've never.
I don't know either. I know you cannot purchase under the age of 16.
Is it 16? Can you buy
16?
cigarettes at 16?
You can.
Really?
You can. Cigarettes at 16. If you're vaping anything other than regular vape, then I know that is...
Well, vaping anything other than vape juice, that is, yeah, because that's controlled substance.
Right.
Or, yeah, tobacco has control. And then there's other things that are not legal. Yeah. Interesting stuff.
You know what? We should
Oh,
look into
cigarettes
that.
are 19. No, we're getting corrected. It's 19, not 16. Everyone's saying 8, 19, 19, 19.
Really?
Yeah, everyone's. Did I mention we're traffic cops? Oh, yeah, we're blowing up the chat right now. 19, 19, 19.
Way back in the day,
Yes.
when I thought it was cool to smoke, and I did, it was 16.
Wow. How no.
No, don't go there. Don't go there.
Oh, that's too funny. It's been. I smoked for a very short period of time in my high school career, and I don't even remember how old you had to be back then. And I just don't know. But somehow I had cigarettes. So whatever the case may be. Oh, so someone says, I think you can have them on you at 16, but to purchase is 19. Interesting. And Kelly Cannon says 18 to smoke and drink and vote in Australia. They've gone across the board. Here we make different numbers to confuse things. Okay. What do we got here? We got a couple more. We've gone overtime. This has been fun.
So, Sean, just looking at very, very quickly, it is an offense to sell a vapor product to a person who's less than 19.
Well, there you go. It's covered under the same thing. But it doesn't say about possessing.
I'm just
And
looking for that right
Gray
now.
Sam 99 says it's not a crime to smoke or vape underage. It's just a crime to sell someone who's underage. Very cool. See, we have a community. They come together and they tell the cops what the rules are. It's
You know
good.
what, though? There is an offense under here for supplying. So whoever provided a
Oh.
person under 19 with it, there'd be an offense for that person.
Jay Kern says, when I was 8 years old, my mom would send me over to buy cigarettes. And now the profile pic, Jay has some white in his beard. So when he was 8, it was okay.
So probably close to my age then, yeah.
I got halfway. I got that salt and pepper beard. Okay, what do we got here? 16 years old to learn to drive, but 18 years to drive solo in Australia. We have provinces in Canada that, well, is it just one? Is it just Alberta that allows 14-year-olds to get a learner's permit?
Not sure, Sean, but I believe you're correct. And that would be an equivalent of our G1 for the purpose of experience and getting taught by a driver, like a fully licensed driver.
But you cannot drive in Ontario even if you're licensed at 14 in another place. So
Nope.
you cannot. You must be 16 even if you have a license to drive elsewhere. CJ gave us a question from the chat. Is going 20 kilometers under the speed limit just as illegal as going 20 kilometers over due to safety? Well, 20 over is specifically breaking speed laws. There's a maximum posted. There's no minimum posted. If there was a minimum posted that said you cannot go 20 under, then it would be specifically illegal. If you were impeding traffic, it could potentially be illegal, but it has to be observed and evaluated by an officer. So if we see it and there's no reason and you're blocking and impeding traffic and causing a problem, maybe you could be charged for it. But it all depends. A speed limit is a limit, not a minimum. And let's see here.
You know what, Sean? The actual act of it is unnecessary slow driving. And you must not impede or block the normal and reasonable movement of traffic thereon, except when the slow rate of speed is necessary for safe operation, having regard to all the circumstances. So like you said, 20 under may be totally appropriate given what's going on in the environment around you, given pedestrians, given anything that's happening there. So no, but if you are the only one impeding traffic and traffic is flowing safely and moving at under the speed limit, then yes, you are creating a big hazard for everybody else out there.
And something, a lot of people say, well, the speed of the traffic was 150 and I was only doing 90. So you know what? This flow of traffic concept is a safety concept and it covers you right up until the speed limit. Flow of traffic isn't something that you're exempt from speeding if everybody else is speeding too. So there is speed differential issues when you talk about going unnecessarily slow. If you're going slower than the flow of traffic, or you're going slower than the speed limit, you should definitely be in the right lane. Let the people who are choosing to travel at the speed limit or above it stay to the right. It's much easier for us to catch the folks that are speeding. Let's see here. What is this? I don't know what this question is. We have, what is the purpose of a front license plate in Ontario when there are so many places that don't? Well, I can tell you that when Doug Ford had gotten into office, one of the things he campaigned or discussed was getting rid of the front license plate. He went to the Learned Chiefs of Police Association, or Association of Chiefs of Police, and spoke to them, and I believe it's the discussion was that they are safer. Public safety was the reason we kept it, because you double the chances of identifying a motor vehicle by having two plates on it, front and back, coming, going. It's considered safer because we can identify vehicles we're trying to identify. But that's the purpose. It's to have twice as many opportunities to. Do you know how many hit and run collisions end up leaving that front license plate behind as evidence? It's fantastic.
You know what? In this business, we call that a clue.
Yes, we like when yeah. So a lot of people don't like the way it looks. I don't understand where this allergy came from to front license plates and why people are so offended by them. But the deal is that they pose a good service, a good function, a reason for being. So we keep them.
Like I said, Sean, I just came from overseas, and every car over there has a front and back license plate.
Have you seen
everywhere?
Have you seen electronic license plates yet?
No.
Apparently, in Europe, you can have registrations in multiple jurisdictions, and you can change your license plate based on. I don't know how, if it was just something I saw on TikTok or if it's legit, but I've seen these European long LED kind of LCD.
So like a James Bond style.
Very James Bondy.
Yeah.
That would be illegal here.
Yes. Very.
Can I wear earphones with noise pass through while driving? There's no charge for headphones in Ontario. There was a lot of controversy about this. People say, usually I tell people they can't do something, and this is one where I'm saying you can. I don't suggest it. I don't endorse it. I don't advocate for it. You should have your ears available to help you. I like hearing screeching tires as an indicator to say, get out of the way when I'm trying to avoid being hit from the car that's losing control behind me. But it's not a requirement, and people who are hearing impaired are permitted to drive. I will say this, the folks that are in the deaf community that drive do a great job at it. They also aren't being distracted by music. So there's reasons not to do it, but there's no law for doing it. Some states and many provinces are prohibiting the use of both ears being covered, regardless of pass-through. As far as I understand, it's just you can't do it. One would be okay, but not both. And it depends on where you are. So know the rules of the jurisdiction you're driving in and through.
You know, Sean, when you're always driving, you always need to use all the senses that are available to you to be the safest driver possible.
It's only in your benefit to have that. And I'll say this. People will say headphones shouldn't be illegal as they turn up the stereo. If you are blocking your ability to hear other noise, you are, whether it's in your ear or not, if you're listening at a volume that's unreasonable, you're not going to hear anything. So, what is this? Are ticket quotas for officers a real thing? Not here. No. And I see a whole bunch of questions here, and I want to go through all of them, but we have run out of time. We've actually gone 20 minutes, almost 20 minutes over. So I've got to say goodbye, but we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to try and find a way to save these questions so we can start the day with them tomorrow. So if you come back tomorrow at 10 o'clock, we're going to start off with a bunch of questions here. And I'm going to leave you with this wonderful little ditty, which I play every day now, called The Traffic Song. And it's written and performed by a police officer from the station. So enjoy. Tomorrow 10 a.m. See you then.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, Don't speed, yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
For those who have not been watching Sergeant Campbell cracking up, enjoying the song in the background, that's the first time you've heard that?
That is the first time I've heard it. That's awesome.
I
did an amazing job on that.
Yeah, I love it. It's and I try and play it every day because I really do enjoy it. And I've had it played on the radio. I was in Zoomer Radio for Dave's Corner Garage a while back, and they played it on the air. So this has actually had radio play. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Good for her.
All right, and with that, we say goodbye. Back tomorrow at 10 a.m. See you then.
10, 9,